Alright guys, what is going on? Oink here, and today we have some brand new seasonal events. Again, of course it is Thursday and we've got the 950 performance point Formula Gran Turismo World Championship. Now this is fairly self-explanatory, but of course I'll go through each of the track and the requirements as usual. So the performance points 950, tyres maximum racing hard, and the only car you can use is the Formula Gran Turismo, which is available to buy in the online car dealership for 5 million. And that comes with 0 miles on it. We've got Fuji Speedway, Nürburgring GP, Suzuka, Spa de Francorchamps, and Eiffel Custom. Of course, we're going with the Formula Gran Turismo. I've left all the tuning absolutely stock. Just give it an oil change and you're pretty much good to go. Now, as we've done with the previous set of videos, I'll show you a single lap, the first lap from the race, as well as where I managed to take first place. Now, first of all, you'll have to excuse my fairly poor and impatient driving. I was doing this at about 5:30 in the morning whilst trying to get it done as quickly as possible, having been basically up all night doing racing for WRS and all sorts of things. So I was pretty damn tired at this point and I just really wanted to finish the races. So I was driving a little bit scruffily and a little bit impatiently. But nonetheless, you know, the idea here is that you can get gold with these. Now, with the Formula Gran Turismo, you know, it's a tough car to drive, no doubt about it. You've got to be really careful on the gas coming out of some corners, otherwise you can just spin the thing in circles. With the AI as well, you'll notice they go extremely slow out of the corners and just like randomly slam the brakes on or just suddenly stop moving, and you'll just end up right in the back of them. So always try and leave a bit of room to the side that you can just sneak past them if they happen to just randomly slow down for no apparent reason. Obviously you can see like that, they just don't accelerate out of the corners for some reason, so it's quite tricky. But anyway, there you go, lapping about 1:15s, take first at the end of lap 3, and get the win on that. I should also note that these have some ridiculous amount of credits. If you're on 200%, because the maximum performance points on this car is only about 900 or so, and it's set for 950 for whatever reason, you get a huge performance point bonus. So on 200%, I reckon you'd be getting somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million credits per race. The races are going to be about 7 minutes long or so, so that is some super crazy XP if you can handle the car. Anyway, that is. But I mean, fortunately, the competition isn't too difficult. You know, as I said, the AI aren't that fast around the corners in this car, even though it's got ridiculous downforce and you can go around some of the turns at stupid speeds. So I mean, yeah, that's the deal. Set your transmission high enough basically for the longest straight. That's about the only tuning that I did. You should be fine. If you're struggling with the car, just take it a bit slower. You don't need to rush it. As you can see with most of these races, you'll see that I usually take first on lap 3 or lap 4. So you know, there is a bit of room to play with, but just take your time and get used to how the car drives and how far you can push it. And then as you start to get used to it, you should start to just get the solid laps in. And I think as long as you don't go off the track or crash or spin or anything like that, yeah, you should be fairly easily to get the win. I mean, as you can see, my driving is far from perfect here, and it's still getting me the wins, you know, bumping into the AIs and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, still easily to get the wins. In Nürburgring, I'm taking first, well, halfway round on lap 4. Again, need to leave a bit of space when you're going for the passes, because as I said, they do tend to be extremely slow when you approach them or if they're coming out of the corner. I'll move on to track 3, which is Suzuka. Now you need to be a bit careful with some of these tracks here, as you know, there's lots of sand and grass, so if you do make a serious mistake and you end up in the grass or the sand, and you know it's going to be like 10 seconds off your lap or something, you may struggle to catch up, and therefore you might want to just restart. So as I said, just pay more attention to keeping the car on the track facing forwards, and less about your actual lap times. The lap times will come later, and even so, as I said before, it's not too difficult to actually win the event. So the most difficult part about this is basically keeping the car in a straight line and not going off the track. Basically, that's often the challenge with these sorts of events. Well, just watching these replays, this is really sloppy driving. But as I said, hopefully you guys can excuse me. I did a couple races last night, and I've got an 8-hour shift. I've basically been up for 24 hours, and then I've got an 8-hour shift starting in about 5 hours. So by the time this has been rendered out, I'll probably get like 3 hours sleep maybe, and then I'll be up for another long amount of time. I don't know. You get the idea anyway. So I'm sure you'll excuse my subpar driving. Not to mention the fact that I'm not really, the best in these Formula cars. Anyway, coming to the end of the first lap on Suzuka there, and we taken first. Actually on lap 5 on this one. Maybe I made a mistake. I'm not quite sure. Maybe just not lapping the best. But it was early on in lap 5 that I managed to take first place. So even with that, still a reasonable cushion to work with there. We'll go on to the Circuit de Spa, or however you want to pronounce that. Now, even if you don't have the DOC, you will be able to play this track. This is always the case when they put these DOC tracks in the seasonal events. You can always use them, regardless of whether you actually have the track or not, which I think is quite a nice setup. You get to sort of try the tracks for free, even if you haven't purchased them. The track's a bit longer. It should be one of the longer races, obviously. And I don't know, it's not an easy track, that's for sure. So just like with the other ones, the main challenge here is going to be keeping the car on the track and just, as I said, trying to be more consistent over necessarily super quick. You'll find, the AI still aren't helping you out at all. So always when you're going for the pass, just give yourself that extra bit of room, or maybe just brake early and then accelerate past them on the exit sort of thing. Like, try not to stay right on their bumpers, otherwise they'll just stop right in front of you and you just can't get out of the way, which is a right nightmare. This one particular, you will want to set your transmission reasonably high. It's a pretty good place. These guys have the transmission pretty low. You can actually hear them bumping off the rev limiters as you come down some of the longer straights in these races. So if you set it long enough that your 7th gear never maximums out, or whatever, so it never hits the rev limiter, you can just get a bit of slipstream down some of the straights and just fly past the AI there. But I think the main place for passing is going to be on the corners, as they do tend to go extremely slowly for some reason in the turns. Taking first place then, nearing the end of lap 3 out of 5. So again, with this one, plenty of room for I don't know, if you make a mistake, or just a general slower laps. And we'll move on to the final one, which is an Eiffel custom track. Now this track is crazy. It's got like a ramp at the start, and ramps and downforce cars just don't go well together, so really watch out for that. It looks like they kind of gave like a 10-year-old kid GT5 track creator and said, do whatever the hell you want, and he came up with this. It's more like a roller coaster track than a car track. Not an easy one to drive. I have no idea what they were thinking with this, to be honest. It will take you a lap or two just to sort of figure out the course, where you can and can't push the car. Some of these outward cambers, you really find it just understeers and it pushes wide, whereas like in that one particularly there, conversely, some of the sort of sloping inwards, you can almost go full throttle around, fairly tight looking bends. So this one's one that just take some time to practice, and once you get used to the track, it shouldn't really be a problem. This is probably the toughest of the lot. I actually passed this guy on the last lap, although I'd made a fairly serious mistake. I span out and I just thought, you know what, I'm not restarting, I'm gonna win it now. And I managed to catch up and take him on the last corner of the last lap. So evidence that even if you do make a mistake, you can bring it back if you push hard enough, and you can get that win. So there wraps up the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you can excuse my poor driving. Anyway, we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to tune in to the open lobby, which is happening tomorrow evening. Don't forget to check out the video all about that on my channel. Should be some great fun. Obviously going to be live streamed. And I'll see you guys then. Peace.